So, hey everyone, welcome to our first episode of the CFO Masterclass audio podcast edition. So, before we get started, I would like to give a quick insight into what the CFO Masterclass is all about. So, the CFO Masterclass podcast series is all about creating a more connected community of some of the most successful CFOs from top organizations and aspiring finance professionals who dream to become the next chief financial officer. So today we have with us Ms. Bhavani Vishweshwar, CFO of Crayon Data. Thanks a lot, Bhavani, for taking the time and joining with us for the podcast series edition.
Thank you, Gopi, and thank you for having me here.
Yeah. So, and before we get started with the discussion, so I would like to know a bit about yourself, about your background and so on and so forth.
So I started I'm a chartered accountant by qualification. I was with SB Billamoria in Bombay, and then I moved on to KPMG Corporate Finance in Bombay. I was with them for almost 4 or 5 years. I moved on then from there, moved on to KPMG Corporate Finance in Singapore. I was managing valuations and mergers and acquisitions in consumer markets and retail. Those were my focus areas. I then, took a giant leap of faith and joined a startup. It was called Red Pill. They were, into analytics and into niche analytics with banks across Southeast Asia. And they wanted someone to come and help them raise funds. I joined them as a CFO. I was there for 2 years. After around 6 months of being with them, we had IBM come and say, they expressed an interest in talking to us for a complete exit. And that's what happened. It took us almost a year plus from the first conversation till the date that all of us became IBM employees. It was 100% exit to them. I joined IBM, moved to Hong Kong, joined IBM in charge of initially the Red Pill integration into IBM. I was doing business operations in IBM, a little away from my traditional CFO role, which is equally exciting. I think it introduces you to different aspects of business. I stayed with IBM for almost 7 years, and then I joined back a startup. I joined Suresh Shankar, and he had started Crayon Data, so I joined them back as CFO. So that's where I am right now.
Wow, that's pretty amazing. I think you do come with a lot of years of experience, and that's really something to look forward to. And so thanks a lot, Bhavani, for this really short introduction about yourself. And so let's get started. So Bhavani, I just want to ask, in today's the work community, right? So we do see a lot of integral teams playing a pivotal role in an organization, and we do have leaders taking up several responsibilities, right? So who is a CFO according to you, today, and why is this role a key element in the growth of an organization? What are your thoughts on that?
Sure. I think as CFO, the role of a CFO is no longer just the traditional bookkeeping, tax, audit, though that remains, a key responsibility. I think the responsibilities of a modern CFO have really expanded. I think a CFO should look at themselves as more a business partner working along with the CEO. In formulating strategy, in business growth, in handling the investors. So I think it's a very it's a more comprehensive role, and that's really where it's expanded to currently. Right. I think that playing a strong role in shaping the strategy and the future of the company.
Right. So I think also it plays a more of a multidisciplinary role, if I'm right. So you align with several other teams, and there's more of a comprehensive understanding, right?
Yes. So you do work very closely with, so an understanding of the business is key. So in that respect, you also kind of work very closely with, the sales folks, the delivery folks. You would also work, a lot of CFOs also handle business operations. Like part of my role also involves administration of the offices. It involves infrastructure management, involves risk, legal, it involves, investor and corporate governance. So it's like a very multifaceted role right now. It's not just accounting.
Right, got it. And also, like, I just wanted to understand, what were some of your early learnings, right, during your initial stages of your career? So when you had started out, and so probably you could just share some learnings that you had in your organizations previously.
Sure. I think some of the key things are, one, you should understand the business really well. I think that's important. What are the levers of the business? What will work? What can't? So once you understand the business, then it becomes easier to kind of tailor the financials to reflect what the business is doing. Right at the end of the day, you can't just say I'm going to drop this and it doesn't talk to what the business wants or does or is about. So I think understanding the business is key. Understanding the culture of the place. I think a CFO is a very is a difficult role because you have to kind of get along with and get out a lot of the things that you need. Like you work with, as you just mentioned, a whole lot of teams within the company, which I don't think a lot of the other functions do. So you work with the CEO predominantly, you work with your investors and the board, you work with the sales teams and tracking them. You work with your HR team, in the budgets and resourcing and things like that. You work with all the operation teams because at the end of the day, there is an effect on the accounts. So you have to get along with them. You have to make sure the work gets done. So understanding the culture of the place and the people is also very important. I think that's one of the softer factors of my learnings as a CFO. The other things are, of course, cash is key. You have to kind of make sure that there's always cash in the bank for a rainy day, for your working capital. So cash is key, and EBITDA is even more key. I'm one of those conservative CFOs. You have to show me the line, the ROI and the line to profitability. So that's always been an important factor in every time we consider growth. Of course, there is always a bit of a give and take between do we invest or do we hold back, and what's the risk? Sure, you have to take a bit of risk, but there also has to be clear safeguards to ensure that, if certain targets are not being met, what is it that you can pull back so that you save your cash and your EBITDA is guarded to that extent. And of course, the last one is you have to know your numbers well. I think these are the key things that, I have helped me through my journey as a CFO.
Absolutely wonderful. I think I would definitely agree on those points, and especially since you talked about culture, right? So I think it's a key factor for any organization. And today, I think there's more emphasis on the cultural aspect of an organization, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And Bhavani, so tell me one thing. So what is the kind of leadership that, leadership style that one can expect for a successful CFO, like yourself? So what do you see in that area?
I think that's very subjective. It kind of depends on how, from person to person. What's worked for me is that I think in a CFO role, one has to be a bit strong. In the sense, there's always requests for additional budgets. There are always requests for investments. I think one sometimes has to be a little strong in kind of laying the basic framework, saying, hey, this is not met, so I'm sorry, go either rework this or go, so sorry, it's not happening this year. So there's a little bit of diplomatic strength is required.
Right.
I would like to think CFOs need to be resilient. There are always good, especially when, in startups, there are good days and bad days, and, one should just get up and say, you know what, let me just take it on and let me see how to come out of this. I think that's resilience is very important for a CFO. For me personally, I'm known to be more fair as a person, as in the sense, than being very empathetic. I think that's been one of my core strengths, or what I believe in. As in, are you being right in dealing with the situation? Are you morally right? Are you ethically right? I think that's been another one of the things that I look at when I take a decision. Other than that, leadership style, I tend to work a lot with the teams. I think that's also key, especially when a lot of people are in the startup thing where you don't have large teams. I think it's important to jump in when there's a lot of work to be done, and if it's a spreadsheet or a PPT or whatever, jump in and get it done yourself, or help people do it. So I think, and that's something I enjoy. It's not that I wake up one morning and say, hey, I want this done. That's not my style. I like to mentor people, and this, especially my teams. I'm like, can you think on this on your own? Can you, how would you resolve this? So it's not just. Someone once told me a good leader is as a person who makes themselves completely dispensable, and that's primarily because you've trained your troops really well to take over. So I believe in that. I think that those are really the main qualities I would think is important from a leader.
Right. I think I do have a lot of personal experiences. When you mentioned that, I think being fair is a very very important aspect of one's leadership style, and also being empathetic. And also, I think mentoring, since you brought up mentoring, I think it's really essential for today's generation. I think a leader, someone I think has to really mentor to their people and guide a proper way into their career. So also, Bhavani, so did you have some sort of key challenges that you see that you have faced before, and what are some key challenges that you see today in finance teams, that who collaborate with the other go-to-market teams in a company?
So if you look at go-to-market teams, it's essentially marketing, and it's your sales folks. You have your sales engineering folks. So I think those are your three key departments. You also have product marketing, but they don't interface so much with finance, right? So the first three have a lot more discussions with finance, and some of the key things that we've kind of tried to implement, or we talk to our teams about, for example, for sales, when you drop the yearly budgets, and I think this most companies would follow, it's pretty basic. You have to be very clear on your targets. What your territories, how many sales resources, what are their targets, what the ARR, you're going to hit. And what is your pipeline looking at? What percentage of pipeline do you have right now, and how does it compare to targets? So essentially, it's very metric driven and quantity driven. So I think that's one thing that one should look at. In terms of, say, marketing teams, I think the spend that they request for in terms of events to attend, or if they want to join a publication like Gartner, which is pretty expensive, or social media, there is a certain amount of accountability there. I would go back and say, what is the SQL, MQL arising, what came out of it, and how many client conversations are happening. So I think there is that feedback, or that flow back of information to both me and the sales team is how that ROI is really judged, right?
Right, absolutely.
In terms of sales engineering proposals, I think from a finance perspective, I think what we try and do is, for all your standard use cases, there is a standardized costing, pricing, GP model. So it kind of reduces the friction to go up and down when you're submitting a proposal. In case there is a service component, then the sales engineer who kind of puts together the proposal has the rates of the people who are involved, the loaded costs of the people involved. So I think we kind of make sure there is limited friction within the system, and it's more seamless to ensure that the ultimate goal of revenue is met quite easily, as in within the teams.
Right, got it. Right. Also, Bhavani, do you have any sort of personal experiences that helped you align with your professional work life? Like, do you have any mentors or people that you looked up to?
Well, as a working mother of two kids, I think we've all gone through those phases where you're like, okay, chuck it or chuck your job, look after your family, because there's that guilt around. I think those days
Right.
you kind of, look at women who inspire you. I think anyone who does really well in their corporate life is an inspiration to me. I would say Indra Nooyi on some days, just to take a name, Indra Nooyi, just,
Yeah.
women who've done spectacularly well. Today, for example, I got up and I read about Kamala Harris, and I thought, whatever the politics, whatever her thing, she's a woman and she's done it big, and, she's got some Indianness in her, and that's an inspiration. So I think these are subjective. People may not agree that my role models may be theirs, but I think that's what gets me up in the morning and going on the tough days. That's on a personal level. Professionally, I think I've been lucky. I've worked with people who've been very clear-headed in their thoughts, and if I've had either a doubt as to how to handle something, either legally or professionally, accounting wise, I've been lucky to call them up and say, hey, do you have a few minutes? Can we discuss this? Or bounce ideas off them. So yes, that's how predominantly I've worked.
Amazing. I think it's really great to hear, such, things about this. I think it really inspires me when you say that. So I'm sure, yeah, that's amazing. But, last but not least, how would you motivate today's aspiring young finance folks in one sentence?
Wow.
Yeah.
I would use Nike's word, just go do it, the world is such a big place, and there's so many things to learn. Keep an open mind, keep learning. Just go do what you have to do.
Awesome. Great. Awesome. Thank you so much, Bhavani, for taking part in this podcast session. And so we come to the end of the podcast session. And once again, I would like to thank Bhavani for sharing some really insightful tips, and also some of us experiences as what made her to sit in the CFO seat today. And so for the listeners, we will meet with another CFO in our next podcast of the CFO Masterclass. So until then, this is Gopi signing off from Volapur. Thank you so much.